Hi everyone, this is CeeCee from CeeCee's Creations, and I'm very happy to present to you my 12 days of Christmas. So for the next 12 days, I'll be uploading one video per day, and each video will be me coloring one of the sketches, the 12 days of Christmas sketches, and they're up for grabs in my store, and I will make sure to put all the links that I can, either in the description of the video or as an iCard. And so for day one, this is called Gingerbread Forest, and it's a watercolor painting I'll be doing. And I have gone ahead and printed the sketch on regular cold press 140-pound weight watercolor paper. And in my settings, when I printed it from my computer, I have tweaked the white balance so that it prints very light, a very light gray outline as opposed to the regular black outline, because I wanted to have that kind of a look, that kind of like an illustration style look without the harsh black lines. I'm going to do every coloring a little bit different, so this one just happens to be the look that I wanted. So I have gone ahead and masked the house as well as the star on the main tree and as well as the string lights, but that's not necessary and you'll understand why later on. But the reason I masked it is so that I could do a nice wash of watercolor in the background without worrying about going around the trees and whatnot. And for the two, I'm using two colors in the background. I'm using Cyanine Turquoise, and that's a Sennelier brand, and Jadeite Genuine from Daniel Smith. I have a tip to share with you concerning masking fluid, more precisely on how to preserve the bristles of your brush, because I like to use a fine tip brush. And of course, we all know that masking fluids are quite damaging to bristles. So I have poured Murphy's oil soap in a small jar that I keep on my desk, and just before I start applying the masking fluid, I just dip my brush in there and I make sure that I go past the ferrule, and then I don't rinse it. I just remove the excess with my fingers, and then I go ahead and use the brush, do all the masking that I need for the artwork, and then once I'm done, I just go under the sink and I rinse off the masking fluid, and it comes right off and your brush stays as good as new. And I've been using this brush for maybe 2 or 3 months now, and it's as good as new. It's a trick that totally works. I found this on the internet a few months ago, and it's fantastic. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew about this. Now, I have started coloring the trees, and of course you're seeing me going right next to previous parts that have been painted. Of course, I made sure that each sections are dry, especially if I'm painting 2 sections that are next to each other, because otherwise the watercolor will have merged together, and I didn't want that. I wanted to keep each section distinct because I'm using different variations of the paint. So of course you're not seeing this on screen and also the video is quite sped up because it would be totally impossible for me to show you the full the video in real time. That I had a lot of footage for this because this is kind of like, to me, it's precision coloring / painting. So yeah, it took me a little bit of time, but it's the fun of it, you know, like coloring to me is relaxing. It's something that I'm doing for fun, and I like to take my time, and not that it's perfect, but I actually enjoy the process. So if you're someone like me, then you'll love these 12 days of Christmas. Not every sketch is going to be so detailed, but they're all fun, in my opinion. All right, so I'm doing the colors that I'm doing on the Christmas trees. These ones they're very light. So what I did is I picked up quite a bit of pigment, but I put it on a palette, and then I added water to have this as light as possible. And then I'm going to build over that. So I'll be adding some shadows and some lighter shadows and then some stronger shadows. So that's how I got the effect. The ground, I'm applying some Cyanine Turquoise to it because it's supposed to be snow. And then I'm dropping little patches of white, titanium white watercolor to have that mottled effect. Moving on to the tree trunks, I'm using warm sepia, and I will achieve the look of depth perception by doing lighter color for the trees that are in the background, and the ones that are in the foreground will get a couple of applications to make them darker. And I have to mention that the sketch you'll be downloading will have the correct amount of trunks that goes with the amount of trees. Because if you look at this painting at the end from the photo, you'll probably notice that I have 2 trunks too many, or maybe 3 trunks too many. I can't remember how many I've removed, but have no fear. The sketch you'll be downloading is correct. And I also have moved that trunk that I'm painting right now because I found it's too much to the left side. So everything has been cleaned up and corrected for you. So have no fear. I'm going to add a shadow to each of the trees on the left hand side because my light source is coming from the right. So the way I deal with that is I re-wet each sections with clean water, and then I just drop some color at the edge of each of the trees to create that shadow. This could be quite tricky. I have to say that it comes with practice. But that's what these sketches are for. You can print them as many times as you want and use them as practice. And I've been doing watercolor for, well, since May, I want to say, and I'm still practicing. So don't be hard on yourself if you can't get it the first time. It's a learning process, and coloring is relaxing, and you shouldn't be stressing about that. So use these sketches as practice, especially during Christmas time. If you have some time off, that'd be cool. That'd be fun to do as an activity. So the large tree, this is where I will spend most of my efforts on. The other ones are kind of like there in the far distance in the background, so I'm not going to add too much shadows. And I made sure not to forget the one next to the house. Now let's talk about brushes. The one I'm using right now is the number 6 round. It's made by Dynasty from their Caviar series, and I love this brush. It's synthetic fibers. It's not real natural bristles, but it has a nice pointy tip, and it holds a lot of water, which I love, and it retains its shape. It's, I want to say, price wise, it's probably mid-range. I think I paid like $9 something Canadian, which isn't too bad. Now the one that I have used for the background is a number 1 flat brush. I don't even think that it's a watercolor brush. It's a cheap brush that I had never used because it looked brand new to me. I must have had this for years, and I don't use a lot of flat brushes, so for me there's no point in investing a lot of money for that. Maybe with time I will use flat brushes more, and then I'll look into it, but for now I'd rather spend my money on what I use most. For a very strong shadowing effect underneath the trees, I'm using Moon Glow by Daniel Smith. It's kind of like this violet grayish color, perfect for that. And I will be going over these shadows a couple of times to make them darker, more pronounced. I'm also using Moon Glow for the reflections of the trees on the snow, And I'll be doing several layers of this color, one on top of the other. Of course, I'm not going to show you every single application, but I got it to the color that I really wanted. I also added a little bit of white in between the shadows just to make the shadows more pronounced. And I'm using a fan brush to do my first coat of snow, little speckles of snow. So these are like kind of like mid-size, I want to say. And now moving on to India ink with a toothbrush, and this is like very tiny little flakes, because I wanted a good variation of snowflakes. Of course, not all snowflakes are created equal, so and then I'm using the brush and adding quite a bit of water to the India ink, and I'm just flicking the colors, so these make like bigger snowflakes. And if you want to achieve the same look as I have, I suggest you wait until the end to add the snowflakes, because my house is still masked. So I'm going to have to add more snowflakes in front of the house. So just a little tip. Now I'm adding the string for the lights. And for this, I'm using a very fine line brush. It's a number 1 liner by Hua Hong. It's a Korean manufacturer. And I love this brush. It's perfect for assigning my name as well on my watercolor pieces. Now I've moved on to bright red, which is, I believe, by Senenier. Yes, Senenier. And for the gingerbread house, I'm going to be using a transparent red oxide, also by Senenier. Of course, my work wouldn't be complete without gold, and I do like gold, and I'm sorry if you don't. We can still be friends. But the star will get a gold treatment, as well as the windows on the gingerbread house. And this is the Finetech Arabic gold color. And I love it. It's super shiny, super opaque. You can also achieve the same look with the Kansai Tembi gold. And I'm covering the area around the star because I want to add gold flecks, but I don't want to oversaturate it with gold. I just want it a little bit around the star. By the way, if you're curious, the door is made of twirly red licorice. So that's why I'm adding those vertical or diagonal lines in between the vertical lines. Yes, that's what it is. To add the sentiment, I repositioned the sketch over the piece, and using graphite paper, I went over the sentiment and transferred that. And I used white gel pen to go over the letters, and it wasn't striking enough. And then I tried to use my poster paint pen, which was running out of paint. So I had to resort to using India ink and a brush that wasn't as fine as I thought it was. But I didn't want to use my nice, expensive liner brush, my watercolor brush, just because I didn't want to ruin it. So I messed up some of the letters, but it's all good. It's all good. All I have left to do now is add some highlights to the trees and the house with a white gel pen, and that's it. I hope that you've enjoyed watching this, and I do invite you to go and check out my store for this bundle of 12 sketches. There's some for everybody in there. There's a little bit of whimsical, a little bit of traditional. They're great for coloring book pages if you want to have some crafty time during the Christmas holidays. You can also use them to make your card fronts because they can be resized. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. This was day 1. Tomorrow is day 2, and I'll see you later. Bye.